Dropping out of university or college is actually harder than finishing it. This comes from a university dropout who quit 5 years ago, and trust me, my life has changed completely. Dropping out taught me a lot of valuable things about myself, people around me, and how unexpected life can be. But the most important thing from all this is how not to lose yourself and keep grinding no matter what happens in your life. So I want to share my honest and filtered story and give you important advice in case you're struggling. I had a pretty classic situation. I just finished high school thinking what should I do next. I've always had a passion for acting and performing and passed myself off as the most creative, talented guy with big ambitions who can do literally anything. But I was anxious and narcissistic asshole, so I didn't go to acting uni in my country because I thought it sucks, honestly. Instead, I decided to go study languages. And just so you know, this is the kind of university you would go to when you're feeling completely hopeless about your future or you're simply dumb. I mean the level of this university, not the major and everything. I wasn't confident that I could handle acting at university. Time went by, I was a sophomore, and I kinda liked the atmosphere there. My classmates were great guys and we had a lot of fun. But there was one thing I kept doing the whole time. Every task, assignment, and exam I passed, I did it creatively. I wrote poems for psychology exams and I performed Hamlet in Spanish class. Everybody kept saying how artistic I was, which made me realize how far I was from the place I truly belong. So at one point I decided to apply to the New York Academy of Dramatic Arts. I got accepted after the audition, which honestly I didn't see as a big achievement, but at that time I felt like a superstar. I didn't go to the academy though. I didn't have enough money. Even with the financial aid and some student support that they were providing, it still wasn't enough because, yeah, the education in America is expensive. I felt depressed, lost, and defeated. I couldn't study at my university anymore. I had this feeling like I thought I deserved way more than that. So I started skipping classes, then it got to the point I started skipping exams, and then I almost got expelled. My parents heard about it, and we had a super huge argument. I told them that I want to drop out. The next day, the whole family was against me dropping out, as they were saying this is the biggest mistake that I'm gonna make in my life. And that's pretty much understandable because my parents spent thousands on my education, which I'm super grateful for, of course. But I dropped out anyway. And that's the moment when the new chapter in my life has started. I moved to another country, I changed my job 4 times, I was poor and broke. I haven't had any big achievements in my life since the time I dropped out of university, and the only thing I was focused on was to prove everyone that they were wrong about me. Sounds pretty miserable, right? Well, that's what it is. Especially when you realize that you don't have this kind of degree protection anymore. That in case of any trouble in life, you can always go work as an accountant that you studied to be for 5 years. Because if you don't have any skill or experience to replace this degree protection, well, it's better you acquire one as soon as possible. Luckily for me, I had that skill, and it saved me a lot of times. Looking back, I'm very glad that I didn't give up on myself. In fact, during that time, I went through a period in life that every person should go through, being miserable and understanding yourself while being miserable. I'm not perfect, I'm not the smartest guy, but I'm proud of myself for being where I am now. And yes, my life turned out to be totally different from what I expected, but in the end, that's the beauty of it. Because if we knew what's gonna happen in the future, the life would be boring as hell. In reality, I've achieved a lot of things that made me become a better human, better actor. It didn't feel like it at that time because of unimaginably high expectations I had for myself. I heard all these success stories from college dropouts who become millionaires by the age of 22, and honestly, it felt like a knife in the heart. But you're not supposed to copy another person's life, because you wouldn't live your own then. I'm still on my path. I have hardships and setbacks, I have doubts and misery, and that's part of the game. These things remind me that I'm still human, that I have my own life and I have my own circumstances. No matter what, eventually we're all gonna end up at the same point. It's just either this way or this way. There is a super powerful quote by William Hutchinson Murray. He's a Scottish writer and mountaineer. It goes something like this.
Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too.
In fewer words, whatever decision you make, if you're committed to your goal, you'll get to it. Okay, so answering the main question, should you drop out of college or university? This decision should be very thoughtful. It's a very serious one which you should consider as life-changing. I had a super strong gut feeling about it. No matter what my parents told me, no matter how much criticism and blame I received during that time, no matter what, I was pretty confident about myself. I was pretty confident about my decision, and I never doubted it, not even a bit. I knew that I had taken everything from that place, and I want to move on. I want to continue my journey somewhere else. And it's important to be honest with yourself. What are you gonna do if you drop out? If you're gonna waste your time doom scrolling the whole day, don't do it. Because quitting, no matter how funny it sounds, requires a lot of strength and self-discipline. And it's not the path that everyone can follow. Some people are meant to finish their degree. They're meant to become doctors, they're meant to become accountants, lawyers, and there's no shame in that. They're professionals. That's super nice. And this uncovers one of the biggest problems in the education system. We don't have time to figure out what we're actually interested in, so we end up stuck between two paths. Either study something just to give ourselves a fake sense of security for another 4 years, or gamble with our life not knowing what's gonna happen next. So the only thing we can do right is to understand ourselves better, understand our insecurities and our desires, and act out of it. And I honestly believe that any decision you make is going to be the right one. Love you all, guys. Bye.